Hey, what's up, YouTube? Today I'm going to tell you why your everyday carry is not a defensive tool. And I know a lot of you are saying, what do you mean by that? Of course, it's a defensive tool. But let me explain what I mean and how your mindset kind of matters regarding that tool in your holster and what it's really for. Okay. If you have to pull a weapon, you're in a situation where you're going to have to use it. And using it in this context means that you're going to have the ability to place lethal fire on another human being, right? Not a target, not a tin can, another person. And before they do it to you, and you're going to have to do it while you're under stress at the same time. So, big question is, can you? Can you do it? Have you done it before? And at what distances can you do this? Can you do it at arm's length or closer? What about through a car window, a car door, from the interior of a car, even? You're inside it, shooting out. Um, what about like an office scenario? Can you fire through sheetrock and hit what you're trying to hit? There's so many variables that it's almost impossible to train for every single thing that could pop up. And it's impossible to train diligently for all of these scenarios. That's why having the right mindset is key, and it's what's going to keep you alive in any situation you may run into. We hope, right? The term defensive pistol really irritates me. I don't like it. Um, you draw a weapon and you're on the offense, okay? Every time, all the time. You got to get rid of that thinking and saying, the word defensive pistol. We hear that all the time in the firearms community. It drives me insane. Um, it's made to sound politically correct, in my opinion, to keep gun grabbers from going nuts or calling everybody wanton murderers that carry firearms. Um, it just trying to keep the anti-gun crowd happy, I guess. I don't know why they do that. So, but you're on the offense from the second that your hand touches that grip to pull it from the holster, in my opinion. As soon as you go to draw that weapon, you're on the offense, and you need to stay on the offense until it's over, all the way over. You win, they lose, right? And the defense is succeeding in killing your opponent, which is another person. And that's kind of controversial to say. You don't hear a lot of people say that on these defensive pistol channels, but that's the end goal. They'll say end the threat or neutralize the threat. No, bro, what you're doing is you're killing somebody, okay? And you have to get that in your head, that you're going to end somebody so you win. That's the whole goal, right? If you have to pull that weapon and use it, you're killing somebody, right? You're not going to intimidate them. You're not going to wound them. You're putting them down. Right where they stand, they're dropping. That's the goal. So, winning means you have to seize the initiative and have swift and violent response. Okay, to anytime you pull a firearm to use it, you got to be fast. You got to be deadly with it. Um, you carry everyday carry because you don't want to be a victim, and that decision was made as soon as you decided to put a weapon on yourself. And that means killing the bad guy, and there's no mercy, and there's no hesitation. If you hesitate, you're out. You lose, you die. This is a winner takes all game. There is no second place in a gunfight, unfortunately. So how do you get the mentality for this? I looked up a couple of articles that kind of go into this that I've read over the past little while, and I have some experience in this myself. I've been in a combat situation, in combat, and been in direct rifle fire, pistol fire, machine gun fire, RPGs, the whole 9 yards, and we engaged the enemy, closed with and destroyed the enemy. That's what you're supposed to do, so that's what we did. So I know a little bit about taking the fight to the bad guy. I'm not any kind of special dude or anything. I didn't do anything outstanding or nothing, but I'm still here and they're not. So that's the thing you gotta kind of keep in mind. But how do you train for something like this? And training is really the key because you have to gameplay scenarios and not just your skill at using your firearm, but you're training in your head that you're going to have to end somebody to survive a violent encounter. And you've got to kind of process that to where if it does happen to you, you're not going to have a problem doing it. You know, having the mental resilience to not be overcome by events or frozen by fear. And we hear that a lot, you know, the overcome by events thing. That just means you freeze up. You don't know what you're doing. It's too much for you and you shut down. There's really no way to tell you're going to do that unless it actually happens to you. And I've seen some people that you would think would be good under fire that were not, and some people that you thought would suck that were fine. So it's just kind of an individual thing. You know, you'll never know until it happens to you, but you can definitely train to try to get yourself out of these situations somehow. Most people are going to rely and react on training that they do have, right? So if you train to, you know, all sorts of different scenarios, you know, use people, person, silhouette targets rather than round bullseye targets, you know, that can help you kind of train your mind to, you know, you're putting holes in a person. When you're at the range and you're shooting at those person-looking silhouettes, you know, and you're doing your drills or whatever you're doing, you got to think to yourself, okay, now I'm going to have to kill this dude, right? Because, you know, that whole, let's neutralize the threat. No, you're going to kill somebody. Let's just call it what it is. You just have to have the mental toughness. You know, it's a them or me kind of thing. It's them or you. You know, that's what it boils down to. If you quit, you're dead. There's no quitting in a gunfight. Quitters don't win. You have to game plan scenarios in your head. I think I already said that. You know, get kind of prepared for various violent encounters you may have. You know, sitting in your car at the drive-thru, in the shopping center, at the grocery store, at the gas station pumping gas. What would you do if? What would you do if? If you gameplay those scenarios in your head and they do happen, then you know what to do already because you've already kind of thought out the process. Okay, if I'm sitting in my car, my seatbelt is on, and somebody approaches me and produces a weapon at my passenger or driver's side window, what do I do? What are my actions? You know, if you kind of gameplay those things out, and maybe even sit in your car in your driveway or in your garage and kind of practice pulling from seated position, something like that, you know, with an unloaded weapon, that would probably be a good idea. Other factors you have to kind of keep in your head is situational awareness, head on a swivel kind of thing. Not saying be paranoid or anything, but you need to know what's going on around you and be observant. If you're just walking around with your nose stuck in your cell phone all the time, you're going to miss things, and that could be bad. So just try to remember to have some kind of situational awareness. We could probably do a whole video just on SA and what it means, but we're not going to. Speed and confidence, those two things kind of go together. If you're confident in your ability to operate, handle, and produce your firearm, then your speed will likewise be good, right? But you have to train for it. You know, pulling your weapon, producing it, and when you train to produce it, are you also training to point and not aim at close distances? Are you training to shoot it from the holster? Like as soon as you draw it, you don't have time to extend your arm and get it up to eye level. You don't have time to get a two-handed grip. You're firing it from the hip, basically. You know, for like less than arm's length or arm's length away. Are you training for that kind of thing? I mean, these are things you have to think about. Can you do these things if you have to? And you know, we've all heard the whole thing about pistol encounters are usually, you know, within, you know, 5 meters or whatever. They're close, you know, but yeah, sometimes they're right up on you. And you have to know how to do that. You know, you have to be able to turn away from them to get your weapon out so they can't get control of it. and maybe fire from the hip or your pocket or God knows what, right? But you need to try to practice that so you're good at it. If you're good at it in practice, then you'll be a little more confident should that situation ever come up. Also, reloading speed. I know I just switched to a revolver, so that this is kind of like not a thing for me to talk about much. But 9 times out of 10, you guys are carrying semi-autos, and you should have an extra magazine or 2 or more on you. Or a lot of people will carry a smaller magazine in the weapon, and then they'll have an extended or longer magazine in their pocket or whatever it's backup. You need to be able to reload that thing quickly and under pressure. So if you practice it, it'll become a very easy thing for you to do. Violence of action. And, a lot of these defensive pistol guys, right, they've got all kinds of things about, how many rounds do you fire at one target? All of them, right? I mean, you want to put that dude down, you need to be mindful of your round count and how many targets you're trying to kill. But the violence of action. If you've got one guy coming at you, put 5 rounds into him. I know the cops are gonna, and this is things that get you in trouble legally. I know, but you have to have violence of action if you're gonna end the threat to you. Then that means putting them down. And however you have to do that, whatever works, right? You can haggle, and your lawyer can discuss it with the prosecutor if they come after you about why you shot him 6 times, right? But I'd rather have that conversation than somebody be giving you your wake or whatever. So just some things I wanted to kind of talk about. That I get a lot of these things that pop up on my YouTube channel. Defensive pistol this, and the various organizations out there that are on YouTube, like the concealed carry guys or whatever. Defensive pistol, defensive training. No, bro. You're on the offense. If you pull that goddamn weapon, you're fighting for your life, all right? So there's nothing defensive about that. You're on the offense. As soon as your hand pulls that weapon out, then it's go time, right? You're on the offense the whole time until it's over. That's how you win. If you hesitate, you're going down. And that's, in my personal opinion, that's why a lot of cops get shot, because they hesitate. I don't know if it's their de-escalation training. Some of them, maybe they're not combat guys, or that's probably why I'm not a police officer, because I'd shoot first probably and not ask questions. But you can't hesitate. If you're producing that weapon and there's a lethal threat presented at you that makes you pull that weapon, then you can't hesitate. You gotta do what you gotta do. So just some food for thought there. Try to get that defensive thing out of your head. Start training for situations that you may find yourself in. It can happen to anybody. Crime is random and people are crazy. And as long as you're prepared for it with your everyday carry, and you've trained for it, and you know what to do when something like that happens, in your head anyway, you've trained for it, and at the range you're competent with your weapon system. The rounds will go where you want them to go. All you have to do is kind of key that in to where you can do it under stress, and just keeping the mindset. It's a combat mindset. You're in combat. As soon as that weapon leaves your holster, you are in a combat situation, and there's no getting out of it until the other guy hits the ground, and that's just the bottom line. So just some of my thoughts on it. I saw one of those defensive pistol ad things, and it just sent me over the edge, and I was like, I gotta make this video. All right, guys, thanks for watching. See ya.